Live from the JSA Podcast Studio, presenting Data Movers, showcasing the leaders behind the headlines in the telecom and data center infrastructure industry.
Welcome, everybody, to our new podcast series, Data Movers. I'm your host, Jamie Scotto-Cutaia, CEO and founder of JSA, along with my fabulous co-host, Mr. Evan Kirstel, top B2B social media influencer. Hey, Evan.
Hey, Jamie. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us with Data Movers, where we sit down with the most influential men and women of today's leading data center world, supporting the infrastructure requirements of this new normal. So, Jamie, summertime is upon us. Yeah. I'm here in New England. You're from New England. You're going to head back to beautiful Rhode Island, your place of birth.
Yeah, my family is dying for me to get back there. I'm on the West Coast currently, and as you know, I had a baby during quarantine, so she doesn't know so many of her aunts, uncles, grandmas. So yeah, we're really excited to head back home, and it's such a fabulous time. New England summertime. It's everything is just ripe, and the smell of flowers in the air, and it's just gorgeous.
Oh no, it's really great, and Rhode Island, especially Newport, Rhode Island, one of my favorite summertime destinations. What's your favorite place in New England or Rhode Island? What are you going to look forward to getting back to?
Yeah, Newport is sensational. My cousin Lauren lives there, and there's like tons of historic mansions.
The mansions, yeah. The cottages, as they called them back in the day. Yes,
the summer cottages, darling. Buddy Astor's, and and when I was a little girl, one of the I actually think it was the Astor Mansion. Used to dress up in period clothing and give tours, and I remember.
Oh my gosh, what I would pay to see those pictures! I tell you, that would be Twitter gold. But why don't we move on to our guest and get on with the show?
Yeah, Evan, we have an exciting show. Let's get right into it with our guest. As you know, here at Data Movers, we really do like to dive into those background stories, careers, highs, lows, everything in between. And today's guest really offers that unique perspective of the future of our industry. So please welcome David Liggitt. He's the founder and CEO of datacenterHawk and fellow podcaster. Hey, David.
That's right. Hi, how are you?
Great. Thank you. Welcome, David. And I've just been spending the last 20 minutes on datacenterHawk.com. What an amazing resource. I really got lost on the site. So tell us about your background and your career and what led you to get into the data center industry and create this amazing resource.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be on. I'm excited to get to interact with both of you. We started datacenterHawk back 6 years ago, and I actually got into the data center industry back in 2007 by accident. It's funny, many people get into this industry by accident, but then you find they stay in it for a long time because of how dynamic it is and the opportunities that there are. But I joined a real estate company at the time, CBRE, which is well known to many people in our industry, and just started learning how clients of CBREs at the time were thinking about their data center infrastructure. So I had the opportunity to do a lot of work with Fortune 500 companies that were trying to either evaluate things like co-location or evaluate things like site selection where they wanted to build a data center facility. And so through that process, found that there was really a hole in the way that the data center information was being aggregated, analyzed, presented to the market. And so you had a lot of people spending a lot of money and doing it with data that, in my opinion, wasn't great. And so in 2014, we set out to start datacenterHawk, and our mission is really simple. We help industry users make the best decisions possible. And so we do that with data, not just here in the US, but also in Europe and Asia. We've got a great team. We sit here in Dallas. We have team members overseas as well. And we're really thankful to be in this space. And it's been an exciting and challenging and really fun last 6 years in doing this.
Oh, that's so cool. And again, you're sort of sitting in a very unique position. You have this eagle-eye perspective, Hawkeye, I should say.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
On the industry. So what are the top trends that most excite you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think some of the things that we're seeing, this is like real time info because, we're consistently talking to people in the market, obviously, similar to what Jamie, your approach is there with your podcast and some of the things that you're doing, but some of the messages that we're hearing that are impacting the space today, certainly one is sustainability. So yesterday or a couple of days ago, I was in a discussion with Data Center Dynamics around how, that is impacting the market and how we're seeing that not just play into how large data center users are thinking about how do we deploy these massive amounts of infrastructure, but also data center operators that are helping with that are thinking through how to do that in a more eco-friendly way. And so you see that with the way that data centers are being designed today. You see that in the way that people in the space are thinking about water usage and doing that in a more efficient manner. But I'll tell you what else has been interesting is we've also seen it focused on with like these small to medium-sized businesses and really thinking through like, hey, we want to make sure that we are participating in, a sustainable approach to the industry moving forward. That's certainly a trend that we've seen. And I think most people in our space would, agree. It's kind of a very broad topic, but it's something that is front and center with a lot of the users and people in the market today.
Yeah, really impressive. I'm actually on datacenterHawk.com now, and your site is incredible. It really kind of keeps a pulse on the data center markets around the world and, up-to-date information. It's amazing communities. What particular markets or geographies are most interesting to you these days and why?
I love that question, Evan. Thank you for asking, because it has been so interesting to watch these different geographies grow over the last, I would say at datacenterHawk 6 years, but really last 15. And I think those that are in the space really would understand this. But, like as an example, in the US, the top 5 data center markets are Northern Virginia, Chicago, Phoenix, Dallas, and Northern California. There's other markets like Atlanta and Portland where there's really exciting stuff going on. But I have been most intrigued with what has been going on in both Europe and Asia over the last 2 years. So in Europe, the top 5 markets are Frankfurt, London, Amsterdam, Paris, and Dublin. But if you want to see something that's really interesting, watch how some of these secondary markets are growing, like Zurich, Berlin, areas like that, Madrid. There's a lot of growth taking place in those areas, and it's a maturing of those markets that I think will point to like some future growth moving forward. And so, those are some of the types of places that we're paying a special attention to because there's a lot of demand. There's a lot of companies that go, hey, we want to make sure that we can serve our Latin America communities or our European customers the same way we can serve them in the US. And that experience is the same or in other places across the world. So those are some of the markets that, we see really gaining traction today.
You're singing my song. I'm in love with this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, this move to tier 2 cities globally.
Yep.
Is right in line with a question that we're throwing out to our clients in our Ask the Experts feature that we do every month. But this month we're asking our edge data centers to give us their thoughts and opinions on, is the edge still edgy? I want to see, what will be your response here?
Yes, I think it is. There's a lot of money being spent right now to try to solve what is a current demand state, but what people think will really grow into a much larger demand down the road. And so I certainly think it is. One of the challenges with it, I think, has been it's maybe been a bit slower. The maturity's maybe been a bit slower than the companies that are out there working on it, might have thought. But I really think that this is something that will impact the market for years to come. I think, our industry is really unique because there's trade shows and things like that. And so we talk about a lot of stuff, and maybe sometimes we overhype things or maybe we hype things too early. But I really think that edge and the growth of edge deployments as things like 5G become more mature and more widely used, and will certainly impact our space. And the companies that are out there trying to build product, or that have built and are building products and solutions to serve that, I think will win over time. If there's one thing we've seen about this space, is that early investment in some of these emerging trends can really pay off. And I think the edge market is certainly one of them. So is the edge still edgy, Jamie? It's a great question. I would say yes.
I would agree. Absolutely. And the data center space has been on fire during the pandemic for obvious reasons. And data center professionals have been among the busiest folks out there,
yeah,
including yourself, I'm guessing. What are some of the key takeaways that data center professionals have kind of learned through the pandemic? And, what does it mean for their careers moving forward, do you think?
Yeah, well, this has been a very unique time for all of us. I think both professionally and personally, and it's been one of those time periods, I know for me personally, where you've had to, really take a look around and be thankful for a lot of the things that are going on. And one of them certainly is to be in our industry. Probably like you both, I have friends that are part of industries that overnight changed significantly, and really it impacted their job opportunities. It impacted companies they had spent years building. And you all know as well as I do, when you're an entrepreneur and you're starting something and you spend all that time and then something totally outside of your control changes that, it's very hard. And so I think in the data center space, Evan, you mentioned it. I mean, it has been frenetic. And whether you are a data center operator, an investor in the space, a consultant, I mean, it really doesn't matter. There's been a lot of things happening. And so my takeaways are, number one, is I'm really thankful that, our business has grown. I'm sure like many others of people that are listening in this industry. So that's one thing. Two, it really shows you the resiliency of our space in this industry. And I would say that the pandemic really shined a light on our industry differently than it had before. And I think there's some good things. There's also some challenges with that. The good things are, I think people realize there's this invisible, infrastructure that supports literally almost everything we do. When you think about the way we use our phones, the way we use technology at home, I mean, all those different things, that's a big, big part of it. But I think too, the challenges are people are starting to, think through even some of that sustainability commentary that we talked about at the beginning of the call or the podcast, that, this is an industry that uses a lot of power, a lot of water. And so really thinking through that well, I think people are paying attention to that probably more today than they were 18 months ago. So I know personally, and for us at Data Center Hawk, we are certainly thankful to be in this space, and we're, really excited about what the future opportunities are. And I would imagine that most people in our industry would agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. So that kind of moves us into our fun, fast, rapid fire question section.
Can't wait.
So we're going to throw out some questions at you, and you just think about, respond with whatever pops into your head first. So I love this one, actually. What is the most used app when you go to your phone?
Unfortunately, my calendar is probably the first thing I would bring up. And I'm not sure that really qualifies for a very good answer, but I feel like, I am just constantly looking at my schedule and the changes that are going on, all that stuff. I would say I have a group of people that I run with here. So there's a fitness app that we'll look at that I probably use maybe too much to check in on things, but those two apps probably get the most amount of activity on my phone.
That's a good balance.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, the last guest answered email, so we're diversifying the productivity apps. But
absolutely.
But as far as smart technology goes, I'm sure you're a techie as we are, and one of my favorite applications is smart home tech. The Internet of Things at home, and my favorite is my Philips Hue lighting, where I can change the mood and the colors and the intensity of all the lights and automate it, when I walk in or leave. What's the smartest tech you're currently using at home?
The one we use probably the most is the one that controls our like temperature in the home, I would say, is just doing that in a more, appropriate manner. And it's also great to, if you're traveling or something like that, to be able to do that. I think that's certainly one of them. Another one that we have two kids. Our boys are, I guess, like 15 and 11. And so we have really tried, not always done our best, but we've really tried to monitor like technology usage and just really thinking through proactively, like, hey, how are we helping our kids learn how to use technology well? And I think all parents struggle with this, like just thinking through that. And so there's some really cool apps that help parents. And so if you're a parent in this phase, this is hopefully helpful, but there's some really cool apps that help you kind of keep track of what your kids are doing, and then helping kind of stair-stepping them into like appropriate technology usage, because when you give a kid a smartphone, there's a lot of things that, they can use that for. And so just helping them do that wisely and thinking through that. Something we tried to do.
I think I need this app. I think someone needs to monitor my Twitter usage. Jamie, do you want to be my parental guide here?
Absolutely.
and help me? Okay. I keep my tweeting down to 18 hours a day. Yeah.
I get it. Well, I think, Evan, it's funny you say that, because I think what it shows is that we've become so dependent on technology. All of us have. And it's a in my opinion, it's a learned skill. And there's definitely value in helping, especially our kids, thinking through how to do that well. And like, I don't know about you all, but when I grew up, there was not that type of technology opportunity. It's very different. And so you're just growing up in a different world. And so just trying to help them think through that well is where we're at right now.
Nice.
I have a basket full of toys, and my 1-year-old, all she wants to play with is her like fake cell phone.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in trouble.
It starts early. Yeah.
So if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be, and what would you chat about?
So I am unfortunately a Dallas sports fan, and so the Dallas Mavericks have a player named Luka Doncic, and I think it would probably he's unbelievable. So I would actually love right now specifically to go to lunch with him and ask him who he's going to pick to be their next coach, which is a little unique because players don't typically pick the coach, but in today's NBA they kind of do. So that's who I would go to lunch with.
I would buy you both lunch because I would want to meet Luka as well.
Yeah.
And as far as me, I would want to have lunch with Jamie. So that's my answer. Just
well said, Evan. Well said.
There you go.
But you may have noticed I'm a social media fanatic. I have 300,000 Twitter followers, which is insane. But what's your favorite social media platform? And please don't say Facebook.
It is not Facebook.
Good. Good.
I think for me and for us, when I started our business, it was just me. And so we utilized LinkedIn in a major way. And I think even before it got as much traction as it has as it relates to like marketing business wise and things like that. And so, I would just say that's really been effective for us, business wise, and it's helped us get our message out there, maybe in a different way than, data center, typically like companies in the data center space market what they're doing. And I think, Jamie, you would certainly be aware of this. We looked about 6 years ago and said, hey, we want to do this differently. We think PDFs and articles, while they're great, it's much more interesting, and from my perspective, to put faces with ideas and do some of the things we're doing here. It's a great way to share ideas, and so we've really tried to use LinkedIn to do that. It's really been helpful for us. So I'd probably say that is my favorite.
Oh, I would agree. And I find if you haven't discovered and you're listening to Creator Mode, you got to check it out. Turn that feature on. You can add videos to your LinkedIn bio and, all kinds of live options now. So it's really become a cool media destination. And thanks so much, David, for joining us. I'm really intrigued by, what you're doing and the resources, you've created. And I can't stop browsing datacenterHawk.com as we're actually on the show. There's just so much cool information there. So look forward to meeting again in person somewhere around the country.
Right on. Yeah, this has been a great time together today. So thank you for having me, and certainly respect what you all are doing, and excited for the next one.
Thank you so much, David. And guys, if you enjoyed today's Data Movers podcast as much as I did, go ahead and check us out at jsa.net/podcast for upcoming Data Movers episodes. We release those every other week on Wednesday morning, so please go ahead and tune in.
And be sure to follow us on Twitter at Jay Scotto and Evan Kirstel, and see you there.
And as always, guys, stay safe and happy networking.